Welcome to another edition of Bible Time. We've been going through the book of Judges. Today we come to the last chapter, chapter 21. Let me just remind you of a couple of things regarding the book of Judges before we leave it. Just to remind you kind of the outline, we saw the first two chapters describe the disobedience of Israel, how they would sin against Israel, they become oppressed by another people, and God would be merciful and raise up a judge, a deliverer, and then they would experience a time of relief. But then they would start back into their sin again, only each time they got worse. So it's a downward cycle, a downward spiral of sin that you're seeing in Israel, which is how it happens. Sin doesn't just stay in a cycle, it always tends downward. And so that what you've seen, first two chapters describe that, explain that, the disobedience of the people. Chapters 3 through 16 tells us the story of the 12 judges and the deliverance that the people experienced under the leadership of these judges. Now, not that these judges were all good guys. They all had their issues, but they provided some form of deliverance. Maybe my favorite, if you want to ask about who's the favorite judge, I would go with Ehud, the left-handed dude, who took care of King Eglon. Remember that back in chapter 3? Ehud, the left-handed dude. Remember him. And now what we're seeing here at the end of the book, the last 5 chapters, chapter 17 through 21, are kind of snapshots. You get 2 snapshots, one in chapter 17, 18, the other one in 19, 20, 21. 2 snapshots of what life was like during the time of the judges. The first snapshot, we don't know exactly when that happened. This last snapshot happened early on in the time of the judges because Phinehas is still the high priest. And so you're getting these snapshots. And we saw in the second snapshot, we saw in chapter 20 that basically the people of Israel wiped out the tribe of Benjamin because the tribe of Benjamin came to the defense of one of their cities, Gibeah, where an incredible atrocity had taken place. And you can remember reading about that. And so they basically wiped them out. There's only 600 men left of the whole tribe of Benjamin at the end of this. And there's no women. It's just 600 men that are left. Now Israel's in kind of a tough spot because they made a dumb vow. In verse 1, chapter 21 says that no one of us shall give his daughter in marriage to Benjamin. Well, now you got 600 men in Benjamin. And if nobody's given them their daughter as a wife, well, pretty soon, eventually there's going to be no more Benjamin. So they weep. They weep over this. They feel bad. They weep about it. And in fact, they kind of blame God for this whole thing. Because in verse 3, it says, "O Lord, the God of Israel, why has this happened in Israel that today there should be one tribe lacking in Israel?" Like this was God's fault that this took place, which is very common for people to ask those exact same kind of questions when bad things happen in their life. It just shows the confusion of sin. Sin makes you stupid. Just remember that. Sin makes you stupid. And so we're told that they make some offerings, but they don't really seek God's will. I mean, they feel bad that, we probably should make some offerings here, but they're not seeking God's will. They're not wanting to do what he wants to do. In fact, they're doing what this book is all about. They're doing what's right in their own eyes. And that's the kind of why this book was written. There's no king in Israel. Everybody's doing what's right in their own eyes. Samuel's writing this book. He's setting it up for the time when he is going to anoint David, a man after God's own heart, as their king. And so this is the problem. And so now they've got this situation with Benjamin. What are they going to do? We've made the stupid vow. We've got to keep that. And so they start looking for loopholes. So they say, well, hey, was there anybody that didn't come and fight with us in this battle against Benjamin? Oh, hey, those guys from Jabesh Gilead, they didn't come. So let's just go wipe them out and take their women, take their virgin women and give them to these guys from Benjamin. What a plan. What a great idea. Do they have any conversations with Jabesh Gilead over why they didn't join in on the fight? No, there's none of that. Let's just go wipe them out and take all their virgins and give them to Benjamin. Well, that not only is that a stupid plan to begin with, but it doesn't work because they only have 400 virgin women. So now we got 400 for the 600. We're still 200 short. And so they come up with another stupid loophole. So there's going to be a festival at Shiloh, And when the women come out to dance, let's just have these 200 guys from Benjamin hiding in the bushes, and they'll run out and grab a woman for themselves and carry her off. How about that? That's a great idea. Wonder if the women knew about that before they started the dancing. Anyways, and then, the loophole is that if it's your daughter, well, you can say, well, I didn't give her to Benjamin. So it's a loophole around their stupid vow. They're more faithful to their vow than they are to God. And that's what's creating all their problems here. And this is the way it is. This is what happens when you have the kind of conditions that are described in the very last verse of the book. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. We're suffering from real lack of leadership in our country right now. Everybody's doing what's right in their own eyes. How's that working out? You can kind of see how things were in the time of Israel during that time. But as we have seen, as we've gone through this, we're seeing demonstrations of God's grace. And God is preserving these people. Even though they get oppressed by different people, God is keeping them alive. God is preserving them. God is providing for them because God made a covenant. And it wasn't a stupid one. And he's faithful to his covenants. He made a covenant with Abraham. And he's setting things up for a covenant that he's going to make with David, this king that they need. And we're going to see that in 1 Samuel. But before that, we're going to see the bridge between Judges and 1 Samuel, the book of Ruth, which also happened during the time of the Judges. And we're going to see God's incredible grace in that situation, how God was at work even in the darkest time. And we're going to see Ruth being the great-grandmother of David. And so this is all leading to somewhere. This is God working things out. This is God in his providence, God in his sovereignty, God in his grace, God in his steadfast love, God in his faithfulness, keeping his plan, keeping his vow, keeping his covenant that he made long ago with Abraham. And aren't you and I thankful for that? That God is faithful to preserve these people, even though they were unfaithful to him. He preserved these people because he had made a promise, and through those people was going to come the Savior that you and I need. So what we're seeing here is, even as bad as people can get, God is still faithfully fulfilling his promises. And so we give him praise for that this day as we come to the end of the book of Judges. I hope you have a tremendous weekend. I hope you honor your father every way that you can for Father's Day. And we'll see you back here on Monday when we will start into the book of Ruth on the next Bible Time.